Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast. Thank you for checking out another brand new episode. Today's features comedian Katie Hannigan. Had a lot of fun linking up with Katie on Zoom the other day and talking about her upcoming weekend here in St. Louis, Missouri. We talked about their live episode of Lady Journey podcast they'll be recording on Sunday, August 21st. With the incredibly talented Nikki Glaser. So it's going to be a fun weekend out there at Helium. So grab some tickets and join us out there. And you're going to hear all about it. And of course, we talk Lady Journey and a bunch of other fun stuff. So hope you enjoy this episode. Do want to remind you, as always, Rock Paper Podcast is brought to you by Roughneck Beard Company and American Rambler, located here in St. Louis, Missouri, over in the Maplewood area. You can stop in and visit them or shop 24/7 at roughneckbeardcompany.com. Roughneck Beard Company is proud to present Roughneck Light. Finally, a lightweight beard oil that won't weigh you down in the hot summer months. Roughneck Light is formulated to have all the same benefits as our signature line with only half the weight. And it's got a cool, refreshing scent as well. Grab your bottle of Roughneck Light today, the summer beard oil, at roughneckbeardcompany.com. Use my code RPP15 during checkout for an exclusive 15% off your purchase, including all your favorite beard oils, beard balms, junk powder, their soaps and combs, and whatever you might need to take care of that beard and mustache of yours. So, again, check it all out, roughneckbeardcompany.com. Also, big thanks to my friends at Friendship Brewing Company in Wentzville, Missouri, serving up all your craft beer needs, over 25 rotating taps, and all kinds of delicious food, burgers and nachos and flatbread pizzas and salads and all kinds of tasty things. And you can come out there and visit them anytime during the week, but they do some great live music on the weekends. And this weekend, Friday, August 19th, you can see Steve Kyle out there. Saturday, August 20th, Jeff Waltshauser. And on Sunday, August 21st, Mickey Scott. Find their full listing of events and their beer menu and food menu and everything else you might need at friendshipbrewingcompany.com. And be sure to follow along with them on Facebook and Instagram. Again, all your craft beer needs right here in Wentzville, Missouri. friendshipbrewingcompany.com. And that is it for me, everybody. If you need me, of course, you can always find me at rockpaperpodcast.com. Hit me up on the socials. Feel free to email me at rockpaperpodcast@gmail.com. I have a few of the Boombox t-shirts available if you would like to help support the show in that way. I would love to mail you a shirt. So let me know if you are interested. If you can email me and I will get that to you. That's it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a brand new episode with Katie Hannigan.
Podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
Hi, this is Katie Hannigan, and you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
This is beat paper, paper covers rock. Rock beats is the Shane covers non-stop. Never know what new kind of guest that he's got coming at you. Live and direct on the spot. Could be rock, folk, country, or hip-hop, jazz. All kind of folks that he has. Could be an artist or a comedian to make you laugh on the
Rock Paper Podcast.
Double-decker fudge round, rolling round town. Shane coming at you live and direct from ground zero. He's your hero, he's your bestie. Rock Paper Podcast with Shane Presley.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Hey, everybody. Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out on Zoom with Katie Hannigan. Welcome to the show, Katie.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Very excited to be here in my own home.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. This, I haven't actually done this in a while. I did a lot during pandemic and everything, trying to link up with people across Zoom and stuff, made it easy to keep the show going. But I've been fortunate enough to been recording a lot more in person. So this is
great. Yeah. I prefer in person. It's nice just to, know that the person you're with is wearing pants.
All right. Yeah. All right. One of the I don't know, kind of the craziest ones that kind of came about during Zoom though was I ended up linking up with David Ruprecht from Supermarket Sweep.
Oh my God. I love that show. I watched it growing up.
It was so that was just kind of a, again, we're beginning of COVID, everybody's stuck at home. I started watching some Supermarket Sweep on Netflix, and I think I just put it out there on Facebook one day or something. I was like, it'd be kind of cool to talk to him about that. And then all of a sudden somebody tagged him in my comments, and then he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And I'm like, all right, here we go. So next thing I'm
awesome.
Sitting down talking to Dave Ruprecht. So that's
so great. My favorite part of that show was when they would just go straight for the ham. They would just fill the cart with the gigantic ham, and it was like $100, $200. I was like, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it was definitely brought back a lot of memories of just those, staying home sick or whatever from school, and watching Supermarket Sweep or Price is Right and all the other shows that were of that era. Yeah. So
it feels like now with inflation, it's like the exact opposite of Supermarket Sweep. I don't know how your grocery stores are now, but I'm going to the grocery store. I'm like, cereal's $10. I'm like, let me just put this back. I'm putting maybe no watermelon this time.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely a little different these days. So we just linked up the other day through the internet, and you said you were coming to town and wanted to talk about your upcoming appearance. And so, like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about you. So that's why I thought would be cool. We sit down and talk a little bit and learn a little bit more of your story and what you got going on. Obviously, you'll be here in St. Louis, August 19 to 21. And that's part. You were doing a co-headline weekend with for your podcast, Lady Journey.
Yes.
With Sarah.
Mm-hmm. Sarah Talamash. Yep.
Yeah.
We're so excited. I know. I so appreciate you having me on the podcast. I can tell I love you already because, we both have glasses. It's smart people, we just need to, let's get together and read, but yeah, I love St. Louis. I have been there several times. I love performing at the Helium. It's such like a gorgeous new club. The food is great. The audiences are great. And, so Sarah and we've been doing Lady Journey. It's our podcast. It's a lifestyle comedy podcast. So it's just about I don't know if you've had this experience where you just get violently into overnight oats for a week.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, this is the new me. This is going to solve everything. I'm turning my life around. And then you just kind of immediately drop off and everything goes back to the way it was and everything's the same. And that's really what a Lady Journey is. So it's kind of it's like we're making fun of goop, but it is authentically what we are.
Right.
So that's the spirit of Lady Journey. It's trying to make yourself better, but also accepting the fact that, everyone is mediocre and there's just no way around it. So we're really excited. This is our first show that we've done on the road, and we have Nikki Glaser is going to be our special guest, which we're really excited about. So she's going to come on the podcast. We'll be talking about self-care. We'll talk about F-Boy Island. We'll talk about her new HBO special that just came out. And, we're just going to find out what her Lady Journey is. And we'll share a little bit about what's going on with us as well. And we are partnering with a really cool St. Louis-based women's collective. It's called Women's Creative. And they have a shop. It's called Procure. And it is in the Foundry. So we're going to be actually partnering with them to help promote. And we're going to be down around in the Foundry, shopping, picking out some fun stuff, and just doing a fun review of what's going on down there as well. So nice. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that all sounds like a lot of fun. I've been a fan of Nikki's for a long time. Obviously watching her get started here in St. Louis, and so great to see all the success that's come her way. Especially now with the HBO special and everything. So she's it's really cool. I'm like, we've never been like, real friendly or anything. I just been a fan, but it's just, makes me proud to see her sticking with it and, having all these great opportunities come her way and stuff. So it's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. She's an awesome performer. I love watching her.
Yeah. So have you all been friendly for a while, or how'd they come about to be your first live guest? We wanted to do something
outside of New York. We're doing recordings here. We're doing guests. Even here, we are doing guests via Zoom because it's just easier for everybody's schedule.
Sure.
But we really wanted to do something live outside of the city and just challenge ourselves to, take a big risk. Like, we don't have a big St. Louis base.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think like when you are on this lady journey of, starting a podcast and getting it out there into the world, you want to push yourself to like take a big risk of, like we're going out here, we're going to see what happens. And we're really looking forward to it. So we actually know Nikki Glaser from the New York comedy scene. Sarah and I both are stand-up comedians here. And,
Mm-hmm.
We're working the clubs, Comedy Cellar and New York Comedy Club and everything else. And so, it's easy, I think, to say like, oh, who cares about our podcast? Like, we'll just kind of like keep it on the low down. But, we thought like, let's push ourselves to see if we can do something really fun and kind of celebrate that we've been doing the podcast for almost a full year now.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. I've been trying to do some things. I just threw a party a couple of weeks ago. Since my show is more, there's also a lot of music involved. So I tried to booked a live concert, and that's mainly what it was just the concert. I didn't really do like any kind of interviewing or anything, but I recorded it all, and I'll be cutting that up and putting pieces of that throughout the but that's what the party was, to celebrate 8 years and 1,000 episodes of the show. So that's what I'm going to try to capture, that moment, and put some of those in the 1,000th episode coming up. So
that's awesome. I love that you did that.
Oh yeah. Thanks. Yeah. But that's what's kind of fun. It's fun to get there's something you've been doing, just you and Sarah and a guest sometimes, but it's fun to like kind of open that door and let the fans in to participate and, see if we can get an immediate live reaction from people. So it's going to be a fun weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really looking forward to it. And like I said, I just love St. Louis. I mean, I'm from the Midwest originally. I'm from Indianapolis. I've been in New York City now 14 years. So I do love to just get back when I can, Indianapolis, St. Louis. I'll go to Madison or Chicago, and I just love the, getting outside of the city is great because, it's just good people out there, good people. And I love just Midwestern folks. Yeah. Love it.
What do you have something you've been thinking about, like as far as coming to St. Louis, like food or entertainment wise? Is there you get a chance to be a tourist in the city yet?
Well, so we're really looking forward to doing the Foundry. I think what we're going to do is we're definitely going to procure. We're going to do our little shopping, which I'm like so looking forward to that, because I'm like, now I have carte blanche to just like spend $200 that I'm like, this is my work.
Yeah.
So I will be writing it off, whatever Christmas presents I'm buying for people there. So we're so looking forward to doing that. And then I think what we're also going to do is a bit of a food tour around the Foundry, because we love food as well. That's one of our like topics that we love to go into. We've been called like the delicious dish, but real life. So right. We'll probably do like a little tasting, like sampling this, sampling that, like getting around. And, definitely we love carbs. So we'll be getting into some pastries. We're kind of like, Sarah is vegetarian. I am not, but I just watched What the Health, and now I think I am. I'm like, I'm vegan. I've never eaten bacon in my life. Meanwhile, I had it yesterday, but one day at a time. So yeah, we're looking forward to, we love food. So any other restaurant recommendations, we'd love to hear that too. Definitely like a brunch spot.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of great stuff. I do feel like, we're kind of famous for some of our foods, but none of it's for good reasons. It's all deep fried and and everything else. So
so good.
Yeah, the Emos pizza. I know that's pretty big one for St. Louis. The thin crust, but it's like a lot of people are very against it, I guess. And people that are it's either you love it or hate it kind of thing. A lot of people don't, especially maybe from New York, that are getting more New York style pizza. It's nothing like that. So
I love all pizzas though. I like a thin crust. I like a thick. I like the Detroit. It is like, it's like your children. Each one is special in its own way. A deep dish. So yeah.
I'm with you. I'm like I don't. I like them all. So they're all in various, depending on the day. Sometimes I want a thick crust or something, but sometimes I want a thin crust. So. But yeah, it's fun. I think the toasted raviolis is a kind of a big thing here in St. Louis too. And like, it's one of those that everybody's like, what, you guys deep fried pasta? Like that's,
yum.
So
love it. No, I love it. The last time I was there, I went to a brunch place. I cannot remember what it was. It was in Clayton, where it's close to where the club is. Fantastic brunch. And then my cousin was here, and my opener, Julia Johns, we had a great show. We had martinis at the club. We went, I don't know where we were out on the streets we went to some gorgeous little bar that was right by a cookie place. I ran in the cookie place, it's closing. I'm like, what cookies do you have? They're like, all we have right now is you can pay $9. You can get the box of leftover cookies. I'm like, amazing. I have like 24 cookies. I'm just at the bar, So we did that. And then we went to, we also went to the art museum, which was unbelievable. My cousin is a sculptor. Mm-hmm. And so it was so cool to go through the art museum with her. I cannot remember the exhibit that we went to see, but it was a woman. She was a sculptor. She was like very active in the 70s. And she had it was very abstract. It was so just interesting, because I go to the art museum like I'm shopping. I'm like, I would buy this, I buy, whatever. Right. I'm just like zipping through. My cousin, meanwhile, is like, oh, can you see the texture? Do you notice? I'm just an idiot. I'm like, this looks like chips to me. Like it's like a bag of chips, So that was a huge highlight. And the art museum that you guys have there is just incredible too. The architecture of it is so gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's like a spot here in town too called City Museum. I don't know if you ever make it that way yet, but if you're into like art, like it's kind of a living, breathing piece of art. Like it's you can run through like all these different tunnels and kind of things, but like a lot of different all kinds of different stuff to look at, just like different art of sorts, all mixed throughout the whole building. So I've
heard of that museum. That's like one of the most groundbreaking museums in the entire country, isn't it?
Yeah. It's wild.
It's like an experiential. Yeah, I love that. I've always wanted to go there, actually. My friend had a degree in museum studies, and I remember she was telling me about it.
Yeah, it's impressive what they've been able to do over there. And like I said, it's like a giant playground, but it's also, art. So it's pretty, cool. It's pretty wild. But, So Lady, you've been on doing the podcast Lady Journey for, like I said, about a year now, right?
Yes, we started last November. So we were just saying, we're like, it's now been 9 months. So it is our baby. It feels like we've been incubating it, and now we're having the live show. This is the birthday. It's coming out.
Yeah.
And yeah, we love the podcast. We feel like there's a lot of comedy podcasts that are like, sex, dating. There's a lot of murder ones. We don't really feel like there's anybody doing a podcast that's specifically like this, where it's like, it is actually genuinely a lifestyle podcast. But, Sarah and I are both, deeply traumatized, and we're just goofy and, doing the best we can, trying to decorate our home with no skills. And now I've bought a loud rug, and this, now it's like, now every day I see this rug, it's a horrible mistake that I'm just reminded of, so it's like I feel like you see so many lifestyle blogs or on TikTok, and it's like gorgeous, like skinny woman, like today I'm meal prepping, like she's never had a fear in her life, and we're just kind of trying to show like what is the real side of actually trying to make yourself feel better, have a business, be, save money for your retirement, and not like fall into the trap of just pretending that your life is amazing all the time. And then, convincing everybody to just hop on your pyramid scheme of, send $7 a month and I'll tell you how to start a podcast.
Right. I do feel like it's also informative, because I was listening to the new episode, and I learned about chuggy.
Yes.
I had no idea that was a word or a thing. So
it is. I remember I heard it, like snips of it here and there. I'm like, what is this? It's like after we came out of the pandemic, everything is different now. And I'm in my 30s. I don't know about you, but I just feel like it feels like I went to sleep in March 2020 and I woke up in March 2022. And it's like the world, it has passed me by. I felt young. Now I feel ancient. And so being chuggy is like what Gen Z, they're using it to oppress us. I would say that. It's like just means like out of style.
Right.
It's like the Gen Z equivalent of like the 80s called, they want your shirt back. And it's tough to find out that like, oh, I guess you just are at a certain point, you're just going to be out of style because you're older.
Right.
And it's, you get like that midlife crisis of like, I'm 23, I'll never die. It's like, well, when you get in your 30s, you're just like, oh, okay. Like back pain. Okay.
Right.
Happening. Like if it was like the Middle Ages, like I would have been dead like 18 years ago in childbirth. So
I saw a good TikTok the other day that made me laugh. Like this guy's like, it was like a, infomercial type of thing. And he's like, do you suffer from back pain? Do you ditch your friends so you can stay home and watch TV? Do you listen to the same music you listened to in high school? He's like, you're suffering from your 30s. And like, it was just like, it was really, really well done, but it was like spot on. I feel like that, like so much, like I'm 37. So it's like, I'm right there, like with like, I've all those things like hit right on the head. And like, but I feel like that too, with like, even though I'm, when I was listening to you and Sarah talking about that, there was a lot of it. I could tell we were probably in a similar age bracket where like, cause I was very relatable what you were going through and talking about and stuff. I mean, I don't get as involved in fashion, but I do recognize the trends of what's, sometimes I go to, when I even shopping for myself, I'm like, just not really my style. And like some of these things that come out and I'm just like, I have a hard time kind of shopping for my own taste. It's just like some of the trends are not really fit for me. And
yeah.
Plus I'm like 6'4", 300 pounds. So it's like a little trickier trying to even find anything that my size anyway. So
yeah, I know. It's tough. It's like, you don't want to look like, we all see like that person that just like still dressing like the 90s,
right.
And it's like, you don't want to be like just that person, but then you're like, but that's how I look my best. I'm not going to look my best just pretending that I'm 21 when I'm clearly not. But
right. I do feel like it's kind of, I don't know, it's a weird thing though, because like every time I do kind of feel like the trends are changing, and then it's like all of a sudden something from the 80s or in the 90s is coming back, and it's like,
I know. Never throw anything away. Just be a hoarder. That's my boyfriend. Actually, we updated his wardrobe last summer, and it was really exciting because he's like the type of guy. He's like very minimalist. Like he was just like, I've just like I just wear these pants. I wear this shirt. And, I was kind of like, maybe we went to like a few shops that he hadn't seen before. Like, he's just not the type of guy. He doesn't go shopping, so he doesn't know like where to go to get the stuff that he wants. So I took him around and we just went to Uniqlo. We went to H&M. He loved it. It's, it's like very like basic pieces. Uniqlo especially is like well-made basic pieces that you can just like the cuts. And it's also just like naturally more updated because, it's like everything's new. It's just like updated cuts. So he got a whole new wardrobe and I was like, oh my God, it just elevated him so much. Whereas like you went from looking like, not like he looked bad, like shabby, but I just like love all the new stuff that he got. And I feel like he looks so much like he looks great. So I can't recommend Uniqlo enough for guys for just like basic clothes. It's just like easy shopping where you're like, oh, pants, 3 pairs of pants, like 3 pairs of like solid color shirts.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's great. Kind of what I do when I do find something I like. I just buy a bunch of them and like, just like, just one of every color kind of thing or something like that.
Yes, I love that.
But yeah, so maybe I'll hold on to those Jinko jeans in case that trend comes back. Maybe that'll. Oh my God, come back around.
Yeah. It feels like it's back just for women, though. It's very interesting. It's like the low cut, huge jeans are in, and then people wear like little belly shirts with them now. I'm like, interesting.
All right.
Because I remember when I was in high school, it was like Jinkos, but it was only certain people. It wasn't like the high fashion, it's almost kind of like grunge is like what the popular girls are wearing now. Like when I was in high school, Jinko was like goth adjacent, like ICP, that kind of, and you're like, those kids are weird, coming in with like a weird, like, something's going on with the eye makeup. You're like, did you invent like a new type of eyeliner? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
So it's just interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I never really got into that one, but it's funny to see what the certain ones stick around and which fads like come back and which ones are, just long gone. And I feel like,
now goth is a timeless fashion. I feel like if you don't want to ever go out of style, just be goth because
all right.
you're never gonna, you just have the black, you have the white, and then, you just stay in that lifestyle. And then you never have to buy new clothes.
Yeah.
I do love a goth aesthetic. I feel like it was something that I was like introduced to in high school, even though it was, it's been around since forever, vampire days, I guess, who knows, but you're like, oh, what a gorgeous aesthetic that if you could commit to it in your day-to-day life, it makes getting dressed so much easier.
Yeah. Do you have anything like looking back like that you're real embarrassed by or anything like is there a certain phase that you went through or anything like?
What a fun question. Oh, absolutely. Well, I had a thing where I was obsessed with the Breakfast Club in high school. I was obsessed with Ali Sheedy for some reason, she's like the character who's like, she's very like introverted and like into herself. And so I would go to my friend and I, like our big hobby was going to Value Village and just picking out like insane combinations of stuff, or we'd like smoke pot in the parking lot and we just like unleash ourselves on the store and be like getting like a floral top with like a weird skirt and just wearing knee socks. And I also had at several points in my life I've had really, really long hair, like down to my butt, which I did have it. I started cutting it before the pandemic, but I mean I had hair that was to the point that my girlfriends would be like, you have cult hair. You need to trim. You need to get a trim. Like it doesn't look good, but I just loved it. And I always, I just had it. And during the pandemic, I did start cutting my own hair, watching YouTube videos. And I did it one time and I was like, I guess I'm a stylist, I guess I just can do this. And then the second time I did it, for some reason I was like, I will do layers. That is that's a skill I have. Right. I don't know what I was doing. I gave myself a full mullet. I'm like brushing it out. I'm like, what happened? Like I had half of my hair was here, half of it was here. And I just went to my salon in Astoria, Queens, art room hair spa. I love them. And they were like laughing in my face. They're like, why didn't you just come in? I'm like, oh, I was afraid. And it's not an expensive haircut, but I was like, if I go in, I'll get the virus, and they were just laughing. I mean, I butchered it. I completely, and ever since then I've had a short haircut, and I'm like, this is just me now. I'm not going back to long hair, but that was my trend in high school, where it was just like bottom length hair and just a weird aesthetic. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew my hair out for a while. I did the I think seemed like everybody was doing it for one point, but I had like the undercut skater bowl cut kind of thing going on.
Oh yes. I remember those days.
And I think I grew it out to about my shoulders, and then I started really getting active in sports, and it just kind of became a hassle, like trying to keep it out of my face. And so I ended up just cutting it all off, and I've been pretty much keeping it short since then. But
that's the thing with like anything like that's high fashion. It's like, it is so much maintenance, where you're like, am I going to get up every day and just I'm just going to spike my hair every day? Like, who has the time to do this? I'm like trying to like make money and live my life.
Yep.
So it's a commitment, and you respect people when you see that, especially like I was saying, like the goth, you're like, you really prepared to go to Trader Joe's right now, and I respect it.
Yep. Well, it was funny because you on that Chugi episode also, you were talking kind of some of this a little bit, like talking about the side parts or the middle part and all, what looks best for you and stuff, and all the different hair trends and things. So I don't know, just funny to think about. Like I definitely rocked it was as a young boy, or like the side part, like where and had the side spike thing going on. And
oh yeah.
So I was just seeing some pictures of those the other day, and it made me laugh thinking about some of the different silly hair trends we've did over the years through the 90s and stuff. So
yes, I know. I love it. It's like when you're a young person and you're coming out in the world, there's an impulse to, I guess I have an identity, and I think like that's what, like the fashion seems extreme to us now, but it's because we're like, oh, like I remember when I graduated college, I was like, I'm vegetarian. People were like, why do you love animals? I'm like, not really. I guess I'm just like grasping at a personality, but it's like, hey, good for you. Do it, find yourself.
Yeah. Well,
we love fashion on Lady Journey.
Oh,
and we also, sorry, I think we had a little breakup there. You go.
I was just going to say, you can hear a lot of this more talk about it on Lady Journey podcast. All kinds of different topics come through there. But and also in March of 22, you released your debut album, right?
Yes. My album is called A Feeling of Emptiness. And I was so excited to do it. I completely self-produced, which was a big undertaking for me. And I kind of felt like, ooh, I'm a badass, like, oh, am I Ani DeFranco? Like I'm creating my own label, which I did put it out under Lady Journey Productions. So that's my label. But yeah, it was a huge undertaking to self-produce, of just like learning stuff. I see why people go with labels now, but it is, I'm sure, like if you have musicians that listen to this podcast, they also understand that the downside of going with a label is that, you are losing a lot of money from the residuals. So that was ultimately why I decided to self-produce it. But then you're like, oh, wow, this is a lot of work. It's a lot of stuff that I'm just like learning how to do in the moment. And so that was kind of hard. But yeah, I've been doing stand-up in New York for 12 years. And this was the big culmination of like all my best jokes, all my greatest hits. I was actually planning on recording it in April 2020. So I took about a 6 months as things were opening back up, just to really get the set tight, to, run it on the road, go out to different towns I went to. I wanted to get like a slice of different perspectives. So I went to Portland. I went to I was in St. Louis. I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, just taking the album around different places and seeing like, I want something that doesn't just work in like a liberal bubble, or it doesn't just work in like the middle of nowhere, like something that's like a good album that I think is like really relatable and just good joke writing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like autobiographical, just my life as a lady, just little gal around town.
All right.
But yeah, I was really happy with it. So people can check it out at my my website, katiehannigan.com/album. So you can buy it through there. And it's also on iTunes. It's everywhere,
Yeah, I gave it a listen this weekend and really enjoyed it. I like I don't know, I like also just like some of the silly jokes. I like kind of one that made me kind of got me was you're saying you and your boyfriend are in a fight, and it's like, well, we've been in a fight since I wrote this joke. And I'm like, and it's like stuff like that, like kind of like, because you think, I mean, everybody has the premise, like it's just like, this today I just thought of this or whatever, but it's like, that material it's been going around for a while, but it's just funny that you called it out like that. And so those little things like that make me laugh about, comedy, like just, so it was, but yeah, no, it really sounds great. And it was a lot of fun to listen to. And
thank you. I love like punchy comedy. I mean, that's just the style that I have always gravitated towards. I love like one-liners. I love like classic comedians. Like, Wendy Liebman is somebody who's like really kind of like undiscovered, but she was like a breakout artist in the 90s,
Sure.
But it's very like misdirection, kind of like Groucho Marx almost. So it's like, this is just like, or Joan Rivers, like that type of comedy is really what I love. I also appreciate types of comedy that are a little more like story based or like philosophical, I love that stuff too. But for me, I really wanted this to be like a punched up, like fun, just joke heavy album. Because that's the type of stuff that, when I find it, I'm like, oh my God, I just love it. I just love that, like Anthony Jeselnik. Oh, well, like, what's he gonna? What dark turn is this gonna take?
Yeah, I agree. Those that's some of my favorite stuff, and I don't know. I've just been a student of it, I guess. I don't know. I've just been a super fan of comedy. I've been, about everything I grew up on. Comedy Central presents. Just watching all those all the time, and like
me too.
So it's just something comedy's always been a big part of my life, and I used to get it a lot. I used to go down, like I was telling you off mic a little bit, but I used to spend a lot of time hanging out here at our local St. Louis Funny Bone, and that was kind of the thing. Like everybody would always see me hanging out, and I guess that's kind of the unwritten thing is like if people that are hanging out always kind of want to be on stage, and so I'd always get asked like, "What are you interested in doing comedy?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm just a fan, but." I do think it would be fun to write, maybe like get involved in some sort of way, like whether it was sketch or producing some kind of scripts or something like that. Just kind of get into that world. I think it would be. I think I have funny ideas. I just never found myself to be like a performer, though. I've never really been that character to want to take it to stage. So
I hear that. There's something that's so satisfying about writing, kind of that joke smithing. It's like solving a Rubik's Cube in a way where you're like, I have a premise. I organically think something's funny about it. And then taking it and being like, I found the thing. It's like you get the same rush of like solving a Sudoku puzzle for me, at least, so it's really something that it's just like, it's kind of addictive, keeps you going back of like, it's like playing Tetris or something, getting the line erased. You're like, get that whatever chemical in the brain, endorphins, or who knows, I don't know brain chemicals. But,
right.
Yeah, but I do love that aspect of stand-up. But I am trying to be a little more organic in my style now. Like I'm working on a new bit that's about, I live in between these two Dunkin' Donuts, and this is true. Like I am equidistant from 2 Dunkin' Donuts. One Dunkin' is like, it's just gorgeous. It's like the building's new, the baristas, they're like, amazing skin, they're doing great. And the other one is just like a psycho. I mean, it's chaotic, it's a hellhole. But I only like going to the psycho one because it's just fun, it's just like, it's like, what am I going to see? What horror? I feel like I'm in a haunted house, it's
Right.
And I go to the new one, I'm like, what are you guys even doing? Like, does anyone like, I don't respect a single person in here, so it's not quite like punched up, but it is something that I'm like, I want to go from my life experience. And one comedian that I've been really interested in lately is Nate Bargatzi, who I know him and I've watched his comedy for years, but I love that he has a very like subtle delivery where he's just like kind of organically telling a story, and it's not like set up punch, set up punch, set up punch. It's like you're talking, it's almost like you're really talking to
Right.
a friend that so I really appreciate that style as I'm going on in comedy and just trying to become more authentic with my delivery.
Yeah. What so I was always kind of and I got friends that have been here in St. Louis doing it for a long time, and I don't know, like, so, and did you get started in Indiana? Is that, or did you move to New York?
I started in New York. So I moved to New York in 2008. I went to Butler University in Indianapolis, and I got a degree in theater. And so I had always loved stand-up. I had done improv for years at that time. And I thought either I'll go to Chicago or I'll go to New York. I was going to go to Chicago and do Second City stuff. I had done that a little bit. I ended up getting an internship at an experimental theater in New York. And I was here, I was involved in the experimental theater, and I was also doing auditions. But at that time, this was kind of like at the very beginning of like it was kind of like a comedy boom of the like 2010s, I would say. I was trying to do these auditions, but I ended up just by like knowing other performers, finding my way into the open mic circuit. And when I was there, I remember the first open mic I went to, the people that I saw at the open mic are now like famous comedians. Like Michael Che was at the first open mic I was at. And I remember being like, oh, wow, like people are really doing something cool here. It's just people going up, they're just telling the jokes, and some of them were really funny. So from that moment, I was like, I think this is the right thing, because I was doing these auditions where it's like, they're terrible student films. It's mostly like pretty misogynistic stuff. Like I went to an audition once and I traveled to go to it too. They were like, we cut your lines, we cut the lines for the character, but the main character, he's gonna it'll just be your ass, your bare ass, and he'll just wipe like oil off of it with a piece of bread, and he's gonna take a bite. So like, would you be okay with that? And I was like, no, like this is not. I have like a degree in theater. Like why wouldn't you tell me that before I even got here? So I wanted something. I was like, I just want to perform. And then, so going to that open mic, I was like, here's something that I can just write my own lines. So I don't have to worry about like saying the lines of like, some like NIFA student who's just like a douchebag has written the lines that I'm playing his girlfriend character. Like, you're so amazing and I'm stupid, it's just like, ugh, what a nightmare. So that's how I got into doing stand-up. And it took me like about a year before I was like really fully integrated in the scene, that I was like going to open mics every night, doing shows. And so it was kind of like a little gradual immersion. And yeah, it was like really an awesome path for me. I still do acting, I do acting now, and doing auditions and stuff like that. But even if you are an actor, unless you're like really famous and on TV shows, it's like a lot of actors that I know in New York, they have like periods of dry spells where it's like they'll book something and then they're just back in class, keeping going. So I was like, this is a good way for me. Now I kind of do both, where it's like, I am doing, the auditions when I get them, but then, stand up is kind of my other life that I can do every night, which is something that's really great about it.
Yeah. I wasn't very long ago, I sat and watched Crashing
Yes.
With Pete
Yeah.
Holmes and on HBO, and on it I've I've known a little bit about the New York stand-up scene and stuff, but like I felt like that was a really good like insider look at like the truth, or like the reality of what it's like being getting started as a comic in New York and trying to hustle from the different rooms and everything else. And
yeah, I love that show, and I really love the character that's portrayed by Dov Davidoff.
Mhm.
It's like he's like the guy who's like the bringer.
Right.
He's like organizing the bringer shows, and you're like, oh my God, they really hit that type of person. They hit the nail on the head where you're like, I was watching it like, oh my God, they're actually doing parodies almost of people that I know. Like, and then they had in the fourth season, they had like the roast battle. And that was like right around the time that roast battles were like really, really big. And I was doing them too. I was like in on that scene of like, oh, this is like a big exciting thing. And I was like kind of surprised. It's like really taking stuff from real life so literally.
Right.
But yeah, it was really interesting. It was a really interesting show.
Yeah, I just saw. I mean, like I said, as you're kind of describing some of it, that's where my mind went. Like, as kind of like, I thought that was a really well done version of kind of what it's like for comedians getting started there and stuff. So, obviously, kind of maybe some of it played up for dramatic purposes, but it was a cool
definitely
look.
The timeline of Pete
Right.
Holmes, I will say, where he's like you're just like up moving through the scene in a year. Like, I don't know.
All right.
I don't know that I've seen somebody start comedy and then a year later be like working the clubs, but I guess it could happen.
Yeah.
Because if you're a white man, I guess it's like the sky is the limit. No, just kidding. Just kidding. I don't want anyone to get upset, but
well, yeah, so you've been doing this for a while. We got the album out there. You got the podcast going. We got some dates coming up. Like I said, you're hitting the road a little bit, and you'll be here in St. Louis on August 19, 20, and 21. And 21 will be the live recording with Nikki Glaser at Helium Comedy. So that'll be a super fun night. And I guess for everything, you can find katiehannigan.com and get the rest of your dates and the podcast and the album and all that stuff. So but I got some questions I've been asking, and get your take on some of these.
Oh, fun. Love it.
So all right, day comes along, we have a Katie Hannigan action figure. What would you like to see with your like 3 accessories to go with your action figure?
Oh, that's fun. Well, okay, let's see. I guess I would have to have I have a handbag it's a space themed handbag, which I'm known for. I've just had it forever. So it's like, it is one of those handbags that someone's like, whose is this? It's like, that's Kitty Hannigan's space print handbag. And so I keep everything in there. So that would have to be number 1. Number 2, I say chapstick. I have to have it with me at all times. Although I don't know what I would necessarily use it for. Like if I was an action figure, maybe it could be like, I don't know, like a little knife or something, getting home safe at night. It converts to like one of those little Kubotans.
All right.
And I don't want to say phone. I feel like that's so hacky to say, even though I am like glued to my phone like everyone else, but maybe how about a little notebook where I am armed with my thoughts. My when knowledge is power, and I'm writing down my little thoughts in my notebook. For me, this is less action figure, more Barbie, I guess. This is like open mic Barbie. I feel like
my wife's the same way with the chapstick. She's like got one in the car, one in her purse, one, she's like one on the couch. Like she has them everywhere. So
I have handicapped myself. I'm like one of those those bulldogs that they like can't really breathe. Like that's how it's like, I can't exist in the world without chapstick. It is, I've forgotten it for an hour. I mean, it's just my entire mouth. And and you're an adult, I'm like, I'll buy it. I have to go
Right.
buy it. I can't like ask a friend, like, "Hey, does anyone have any oil here that I could just slather on my mouth?"
Yeah, I always laugh thinking about that scene in Napoleon Dynamite too. Like, just go down to the nurse. I know she got like 5 sticks down there.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. I love
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah. All right. All right. The day comes along. We have a Katie Hannigan biopic. Who would you like to see cast to play you in the movie version?
Oh, interesting. I guess unless I'm like 100 years old, I would play myself because I'm an actor,
Right.
and I'm like also a narcissist. So it would be very painful for me to relinquish. I was in a show several years ago called, I forget, I think it was called, I remember, it was called Crazy Love. And it was a show on Oxygen Channel before. It used to be Oxygen was like Channel for Women. Now it's like a murder channel. They like rebranded, which I think is so funny because I'm like, yeah, I was on that channel. I was on a show on the
Right.
murder channel. A story that, and this, I'm just like blowing the lid off of this on this podcast, but you were supposed to send in a story. And when they asked for submissions, they said it can be real, it can be made up, whatever. Send in a story of something crazy you've done for love. So I was like, okay, I just made up a whole story about like this whole thing of like, I liked a guy, so I lied and said I knew how to play basketball. I mean, it was an outlandish tale and they accepted it. They cast me in it. Then they're like calling me, like, just so you know, I had to do a few newspaper interviews because they like loved it. They loved it. They were like, just so you know, we do not say that the story is made up under any circumstances in the newspaper interview. They had like the internal people calling me. I'm like, but I'm getting to the shoot. They're like, don't say that it's made up. Is it made up, by the way? I'm like, yeah, this is an insane story. It would be insane if this actually happened. But yeah, so I'm blowing the lid off of it. But anyway, so I'm telling the story, and then they had cast another girl to do the reenactment version of it. And I remember watching it. I met her actually. I met her at some show on the scene in New York. And I was like, why wouldn't they just let me do it? I have the skills. They have no lines. So anyway, I guess like I would give this girl a break and allow her to play me again.
Yeah.
She's now my double.
Right. Yeah. What is that like available anywhere? Can you?
I'm sure it's out there. It's called My Crazy Love. It's probably on iTunes. I feel like if anybody wants to go watch it. I was on the same episode as a comedian called Wally Collins, who I know him, and he had a really funny story on there too. I think his story was true, but it was just like a whole show of like just stuff people did that was like crazy dating stories, and yeah, and I fully lied on mine. So
all right. Yeah. All right. What we talked about some different shows and stuff, but is there a movie or a TV show you wish you were in? Is there a certain one you watch where you think about like I wish I had that role, or I could see myself in this type of character or something like that? Or
I love it. I mean, I am an actor, so it's like almost everything I watch, I'm like, why didn't I get seen for that role? Like a psychotic, like a mentally ill person that I am. But I would love to do. Would love to do an episode of Law and Order. I think I would be a great. I do like a lot of comedic stuff, or I was just recently in a PBS Kids. I did voiceover for a new show that's coming out. It's like a phone show. It's called City Island, so that's going to be really fun. But I do like goofy, like quirky girl. I'm like, cast me as the hardened cop. Cast me as the person who's like dealing crystal meth out of a van. I think I could nail it. Like, give me a chance, because I do like dramatic acting. But when you do stand up, people are like, it's like the wacky sister. So I'd love to really just be Nicolas Cage in Face Off.
There you go. Yeah, I'm a huge Law and Order SVU fan.
Are you?
That's my show.
Love it.
Yeah,
It sucks you in.
Hell yeah. But yeah, that would be fun. I don't know. That's kind of like a goal of mine, like kind of a bucket list thing. Is not really to be a full on actor and stuff, but just like have a one line cameo in one of those shows like that, and just like my one moment. So,
it'd be great.
Yep. But yeah, I don't know. This has been a lot of fun. I'm really glad we got to hang out today, Katie.
Me too. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to come to see you live here in St. Louis, and maybe we can hang out and enjoy some toasted raviolis or something or whatever.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I'm so looking forward to seeing you too. We've got the show. Our big show is August 21st, 7 p.m. Nikki Glaser, Lady Journey, Helium Comedy Club, St. Louis. So
yeah,
thank you.
And I'll link everything up in the description and stuff. You can get some tickets and then of course, like I said, everything at katiehannigan.com too. So
yep.
But yeah, and I don't know. This was a lot of fun. I'm really glad we did this. So thank you for spending some time with me.
Yeah, thank you, Shane.
And I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.